when Roosevelt won election, his first election in 1932, officially nearly 1 in 4 Americans were unemployed. And if we look at that in terms of real unemployment or underemployment, about 1 in 3 Americans were underemployed. Over the past 2 years, during the Obama administration, unemployment has averaged just a tick under 10%. And as far as real unemployment is concerned, it's hovered somewhere between 15 and 20%. So even if we look at the most broad-based measure of unemployment, it still doesn't rise to the level of official unemployment that Roosevelt was dealing with. Another thing to bear in mind about the Depression era versus the current recessionary era is that during the Depression, there was at best a tissue-thin social welfare net. Programs such as food stamps and unemployment insurance, for all intents and purposes, didn't exist, certainly not at a national level. And today they do. Indeed, regardless of one's state of residence, an unemployed individual is eligible for nearly a full year of unemployment insurance today. And ironically, Obama may be, in a sense, politically disadvantaged compared to Roosevelt because of the very domestic policy successes that the New Deal and then later the Great Society programs managed to achieve. You can think of it this way. They basically have reduced the severity of the economic injury that is sustained by the American public. So that's one thing to bear in mind, just the societal context that Roosevelt and FDR, that FDR and Obama were dealing with. Another thing to bear in mind, another way to compare and contrast the two presidencies, is just in terms of the messaging and policy in which they engaged in. FDR embraced the economic crisis. He regularly invoked the economic crisis as almost a state of war. He regularly invoked a wartime analogy, asserting that the United States must deal with the crisis as if it were, in fact, an armed conflict. According to constitutional historians, this created a context that effectively permitted Roosevelt to employ extensive unilateral executive authority and congressional leadership. In their words, Kelly, Harbison, and Belt's words, FDR virtually became the nation's chief lawmaker, as Congress set aside its normal legislative procedures of extensive debate, compromise, and amendment with respect to legislation. Rather than doing that, they simply tended to approve bills that were being sent to them by Roosevelt because they emerged from the White House. What's more, the vast majority of the bills that Roosevelt's White House was sending to Congress dealt directly with stimulation of the economy, easing unemployment, or providing some type of relief.